the story of back to nature is identical with the concept of back to self. That somewhere, some way, each individual must experience his existence in a true world. A world not fashioned by his own imagery, but a world which has a closeness to the earth, a world of values that are direct, natural, simple, and inevitable. If we cannot, therefore, go to this world from our own abodes, then we must bring this world to ourselves. We must discover it by a code of conduct or a series of internal revelations, so that if nature around us is denied us, nature can still live within us and become the basis of a normalcy and a vitality which can carry us over the doubts and problems of the years. It is learned that man can and does become keenly aware of a universal interior existence. The quietude of the forest, the gentleness of solitary places, these moods and qualities are within us, and back to nature and back to self become increasingly important as directives and as goals while we observe the results of our artificial ways and our false allegiances. The average person must first unload. He is filled to the brim with psychic acidities. He is therefore internally sick. He is sick because when he attempts to find the natural solitudes of his own life, he comes face to face with chaos. There is something very wrong with a way of life that makes for such pressure within the individual. It is making us enemies for no reason. It also, most of all, detracts from our right to know ourselves. For when we turn in upon our own natures, what we find is not ourselves. It is the accumulation of other persons in us. It is the accumulation of ages of history. It is the outside pressing in upon us until it has deformed every internal part of our own natures. By degrees we lose any close contact with realities, with vitalities, by which our lives might be more correctly and properly directed. Nature does not require the way of life that we are building. The squirrel still stores its food for the winter. Grasses grow and trees come forth with their wonderful herbage in the spring. Nature does not demand great cities or great enterprises. Nature lives its own continuance in a simple and direct way. Man, of course, does not wish to return to the estate of a woodchuck or something of that nature. If, consequently, our thousands of years of civilization have brought us no more security than that which is enjoyed by the woodchuck, we have not traveled far. What we call our way of life has become an hypnotic conviction in ourselves, something to be defended whether it is right or not, something that must be endured because it is. And against this fatality we have no recourse. Our spirit of rebellion ceases, and we adjust ourselves to these inevitables. It is far more important for the individual to achieve a kind of victory over confusion. Pleasures around man bring no pleasure to man unless that man himself is pleasant. Our life should have within it the pleasantries of nature, a gradual recognition that we are not here to defeat nature, but to fulfill her. That we are here not to be masters over life, but friends of life. And that our greatest victory is when we help others to succeed. Anyone can point out that nature is eternally encroaching upon man. That man must fight nature in order to survive. If he wishes to survive against nature, he must fight her to the end, and she will win. But if he wishes to survive with nature, he may unite his resources with her own and come to a splendid victory. Something has to be awry. It was not intended to be this way. It was not intended that we should suffer through these years in constant servitude to antagonisms and strife, binding our private lives with sorrow and conflict. In nature around us, we observe constantly the strength of the individual. The individual does not know that it is strong. It is strong by an instinct stronger than life itself. Out in the forest, the mother animal bears her young, alone. There is no physician, there is no society to protect her, there is no one concerned about her. Yet in her own quiet and complete way, she performs the mystery for which she was created. And she continues to care for her young in a wilderness. And yet in this wilderness, she finds little cause of unusual anxiety. She expects danger. She is prepared for it. And yet she faces it herself. It is not possible for her to call the police or ask for help or to depend upon a strong society to protect her. Yet alone in her own way of life, she has for countless millions of years preserved the life type of her kind and has gone on and on without cities, without great institutions, simply because of a strange instinct, an instinct which is more important because it is vested in the security and inevitability of internal resource. We cannot go back to her way of life in everything, but we can sense that we live in the weakness of perpetual dependence, that we have learned not even to think for ourselves. We cannot plan our own daily menu. We cannot do the common chores of life. Everywhere we must be helped. We must be assisted. We must be supported and carried. When we have found security in ourselves, we do not rush to others to supplement our weakness. We go to them rather to share our strength. We have forgotten the miracles of nature and have become hypnotized by the pseudo-miracles of our own achievements. If our ways were right, they would lead to solution. Ours are not. They lead nowhere, and we are drifting with a tide of adversities closing in upon us. We should discover that as truly as we can look out upon a great plain with its forests and trees and rivers, so we can look in to a boundless natural universe, that there is no tree or shrub outside of us which does not have some symbolic equivalent in our own internal universe. The nature around us and the nature within us form together a common communion, and when the within and the without are in harmony, man is well. When the nature in him and the nature around him have formed a powerful camaraderie of purpose, that individual is in harmony. Until he is concerned with his own largeness, he must fall over his own smallness. He must discover, and he must discover by coming into the presence of something bigger than himself. He cannot discover by being placed in the midst of a man-made world that is falling apart. He must discover by being brought back into the realization that man-made things are but incidents in a God-made plan. Nature does not divide creeds or sects or races or classes or clans. Nature serves all its creatures and provides each of them with certain instincts and equipments suitable for the best expectancy of their survival. As each creature fulfills its purpose, it binds that purpose to the common good. If any creature, therefore, fails to fulfill its own purpose, it retards nature and detracts from the common success which nature has planned and intended. A world of challenge, a world of insight, may gradually relax his false worship of his own achievements and come back again to the recognition of a simple partnership with life itself. In nature, we become instinctively aware that certain resources of faculty and perception and reflection are stimulated in us that are not otherwise called into activity. Man is never healthy. Man is never able to go on and carry the burden of this life with dignity and success. He is never wise, he is never good, he is never sufficient until he can approach his own inner life without fear. He must be able to enter into the inner part of his own consciousness and find there the natural motions of nature. Our association with nature is for one purpose only, namely the purpose of providing us with the means to transcend the physical aspects of life. That all things, actually and factually, exist for the purpose of making man's inner life beautiful. Until these things are the complete things for which we strive, we shall not achieve the security we seek. And each individual must free himself from the slavery of the world he has fashioned. And to do it, he must return to the real world, the world that he did not fashion, the world he has lost and forgotten because he was so busy with his own invention.